the apostles chosen by Christ shows that Christ had a well-planned program with a backup of all these apostles. Today, you and I always store so much of material in a backup. If you see your cell phone, you have backup, and regularly you update your backup, and you see that it is stored so that you don't lose any of your contact or also few things that you want to say. And Jesus had this backup of all these apostles. And who are they? They are all simple people. And among them, Simon, who's a zealot. A zealot is one who is always very, very enthusiastic and kind of a radical. Today, they are called as urban Naxalites in India, because the one who is a zealot always desires to work for a particular right cause and see that it is implemented. The zealots were, during Jesus' time, they were wanting the Romans to be thrown out of Israel. And therefore, they were fighting for that cause. And the zealots thought that Jesus has come to throw all these Romans out of Israel and that Israel would be free. But Jesus' plan was to establish his kingdom. And therefore you see, Simon the Zealot was so enthusiastic that even after he was sent into to proclaim the message, he very desiriously went about proclaiming the message. But he was slain with a sword. His body was sawed and slayed in a way into two pieces. And that is how you find at the statue of Simon the Zealot, there is a saw in his hand. Whereas Jude, who is also called sometimes as Judas Thaddeus, and Jude is the brother of James, and therefore you find the mention of James and Judas when the disciples say that your mother and your brothers are come. The brothers, in other words, is the cousin brothers, and therefore James and Judas are the cousin brothers of Jesus Christ. That much is known about Jude. And Jude was beheaded because he was proclaiming the message to different type of people, most especially to pagan territories. But when they seen that he could reach out to so many people, they said it is better to do away with him, and he was ready to die for Christ. Somehow or other, we do not know how St. Jude became the patron of all hopeless cases. We all know that his name is Judas. So it is understood that people mistook him to be Judas Iscariot. And therefore, they didn't go to him and pray. Whereas to all the other apostles, they would go and pray. Because his name is Jude, Judas, and there is Judas Iscariot, they did not pray to him. But there were some people who finally went to him. After praying to various other apostles, finally went to Jude Thaddeus, and their favors were granted. And that is how he becomes the hope for all those lost cases. Especially you go to Velangani, you pray, and then your favors are not received. You go for another retreat, your favors are not received. You go to St. Anthony, your favors are not received. You go to various other saints or pilgrimage or shrines, and you pray for your intention and it is not granted. Finally, you have to come to Jude, because he is there to grant you. And that is how he is known for all hopeless cases. Sometimes we are all hopeless cases. We go here, there, everywhere. Finally, we have St. Jude who can answer our prayers. But one important aspect about Simon Jude is that his simplicity makes him grant favors for all of us. And that is why very often you find women who are not blessed with a child for so many years, they come to Jude and they become hopeless case, and then they are granted with especially for a child where after so many years. And that is how he intercedes for us. But all the more we know that the apostles were sent. And they were sent courageously, not to be timid, but to go and face all the challenges of the world, to bring the message of Christ and see that the kingdom of God is proclaimed. It's the same thing for each one of us, my dear friends, that Jesus depends on each one of us, that you and I are in his backup program, that we will do his work and bring the message to all.